Eggs. Day 2, Chapter 7. His grandmother was doing it again, mopping the kitchen floor. How many moppings did a floor need? Of all the things she did to torment him, this was the worst. So he did what he always did. At times like this, he walked right into the kitchen, across the wet floor to the sink, then to the fridge, then to the cereal cupboard. Not really looking for anything, just pretending. Pretending he didn't know she was there. Pretending he didn't know she had stopped her mopping and was staring mournfully at him. He knew what she wanted to say. David, please don't walk on the wet floor. And he knew as well that she would never say it, never use those words to him. As he left the kitchen, he looked back just to enjoy the sight of his sneaker tracks all over the wet floor. By the time he was halfway through the dining room, the enjoyment had worn off, and all that remained was a grim reminder. He ran to his room and slammed the door shut. He lay face down on his bed. The tears came. It was a wet floor that had killed his mother. A wet floor where she worked. A wet floor that a custodian had just finished mopping. A wet floor that had no sign saying, wet floor. Along came his mother. It wasn't one of those spectacular head-over-heels cartwheel flips. It was just a little one, a tiny one, but it happened at the worst possible place, at the top of the stairway. Down she went, and even then, when she hit bottom, it wasn't the world's hardest bump on the head. Heck, David had had worse noggin knockers himself. But again, it was in the worst possible spot, and that was that. She never woke up, never called him Davy again, never took him to see the sunrise. It happened on April 29th, less than a year ago. From that day forward, David had never even bruised a rule, much less broken one, except his grandmother's, of course, and her rules didn't count. It was his most secret, one that he shared with no one on earth, not even the daylight, for David believed that if he went along enough time without breaking a rule, a year, 5 years, 20, piling up a million obediences, a billion, sooner or later, somehow, somewhere, a debt would be paid, a score would be settled, and his mother would come back. Chapter 8. Weeks went by. A month, 2, school was out. David had stopped searching the newspaper. He went back to watching only cartoons and comedy shows and such on TV. He cut out his favorite comic strip, Beetle Bailey, and saved his favorites for his bedroom wall. He no longer went down the hill and into the trees. 3 days after school ended, he had to go with his grandmother to the Perkman Library. She was a volunteer reader for summer story time. They walked. David stayed 5 paces behind. Along the way, they came upon a kid playing with a yo-yo. To David's horror, his grandmother stopped and said, "Well, hello there." He knew what she was up to, trying to make friends for him. She would not quit. The kid stopped and looked up. Hello. He couldn't yo-yo and talk at the same time. It was the ugliest yo-yo David had ever seen. Snot green. What a geek. "Do you live here?" his grandmother said, all sugar and smiles. "Yeah. I see you're playing with a yo-yo." "I just got it yesterday," said the kid. David felt her bony fingers on his shoulder. "This is my grandson, David. What's your name?" "Tim." "Tim. Well, Tim. David moved here not long ago too. He doesn't know many people yet, but he sure loves to play with his yo-yo." She aimed her smile at him. "Don't you, David?" "No," said David. She chuckled. "He's just being modest. He's actually very good with a yo-yo. He can do lots of things." The kid chirped up at her. "I can walk the dog." "Yippee," said David. His grandmother ignored him. "Really?" she gushed. "Would you like to give us a demonstration?" The kid didn't wait to be asked twice. He backed off a couple steps, took a deep breath, and spun the snot-green yo-yo down its string. It walked for about an inch, then lurched like a tire, hitting a tree trunk, and flopped onto its side. David laughed. His grandmother shot him a glare. "That was just for practice, wasn't it, Tim?" "Yeah," said the kid. He tried it again. Same result. Then he did a surprising thing. He pulled the string loop off his finger, held the yo-yo out to David, and said, "Want to try?" David sneered at the cheap toy and pushed it away. He unsnapped the yo-yo holster on his belt and drew his Spitfire. He knew he was playing into his grandmother's hands, but he couldn't help it. He ran a few test drops, then, with a hard snap of his wrist, sent her down for good. The spool of many colors, David had once counted 9, hummed as it spun an inch above the sidewalk, then a half inch, then a quarter. Then, ever so lightly, it kissed the concrete and, like a dog on a leash, walked smartly from one sidewalk crack to the next before scooting back up the string and into its master's hand. With a disdainful sniff, David slipped off the finger loop and holstered the yo-yo. The kid went gaga. "Wow!" His grandmother cooed. "David, I never knew you were that good." Not surprising, since David had been careful not to show her his best stuff. I'll bet Tim would love to take lessons from you. David walked on, tossing his parting words over his shoulder. I don't think so. His grandmother stayed behind until they came to the library. At the door, she whispered, I can't believe you are so rude. And they went in. The little kiddies and their mothers were already there, almost filling the community room. David took a seat in the back row. He folded his arms, put on a pout, and stared at the wall. He had no intention of listening to stupid stories, especially from his grandmother. He made one silent vow to himself. If she started reading Mike Mulligan and his steam shovel, he would walk up and rip it from her hands, because that was the story his mother used to read to him at bedtime. One last person came in, took a seat at the other end of the back row, and then the librarian introduced his grandmother. Lucky for her, she read, Brown Bear, Brown Bear. Halfway through, the little runts were yipping along with the story. Everybody but David clapped at the end. Then she read Green Eggs and Ham. Then Make Way for Ducklings. Finally, the last one, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. About the time Goldilocks was peeping into the bear's house, David happened to look over at the other person in the last row. It was a girl, teenager. She wore lime green shorts and a white shirt tied across her stomach and pink earrings down to her shoulders and brown hair unlike any David had ever seen before. It was pulled up into a pair of woven ropes that hung halfway down her back. Bare feet. But the main thing was, her head was bowed and her eyes were shut as if she were sleeping. About the time Goldilocks was sampling the porridge, David looked again and kept looking. As Goldilocks headed upstairs, David began moving quietly from seat to seat in the sleeper's direction. Goldilocks was settling into Baby Bear's bed as David stopped 2 chairs away. The bears were staring at their porridge bowls as David lowered himself carefully to one knee and saw the roller skates on the chair beside her, and tilted his head to get a better look at her face and her closed eyes, which he now saw were tinted with purple glitter, like a pair of bird-sized Easter eggs. And Baby Bear had just exclaimed, Somebody has been sleeping in my bed, when David let loose the scream of his life. Chapter 9. The shock wave from the scream sent Primrose toppling over backwards in her chair. From the floor, she saw a sandy-haired little kid backing away, screeching, You're dead! You're dead! Primrose felt her face, wiggled her fingers. She looked around at the stunned, wide-eyed faces. The kid seemed awful sure of himself. The look on his face, she was beginning to wonder. I am, she said. I saw you. You have to be. He was no longer screeching, no longer backing up. Primrose got to her feet, and 25 preschoolers screamed and clutched their mothers. Maybe I'm a ghost, she said. More preschoolers screamed. 2 fled the room. Ghosts don't exist, said the kid, who now seemed more angry than scared. His voice sounded familiar. Say that again, she told him, and closed her eyes. Ghosts don't exist. Say, my name is David. My name is David. I'm from Minnesota. I'm from Minnesota. She smiled. She opened her eyes. He was staring at her, a blue, bold, unblinking stare. She remembered that in the park. Even when he had truly believed her dead, he had not sounded afraid. She pulled a card from her pocket. Here, she said. She handed it to him, picked up her skates, and walked out. The door was closing behind her, but she could not resist. She leaned back into the room and said, Boo! Preschoolers screamed. The Waving Man. Chapter 10. The next day, David was biking around town, looking at street signs. By noon, he had covered Perkman up and down 100 different streets. He was always careful to obey traffic lights and never go down one-way streets the wrong way. For the 10th time, he stopped and pulled out the little white card she had given him. It was done in green ink, in fancy handwriting. It said, Madame Dufy, Reader and Advisor, meet your tomorrow today, Tulip Street. He pocketed the card and kept writing. He was thirsty. About an hour later, he found it. He coasted down the gentle slope of a street called Pratt to its dead end, and there it was, white letters on a black iron sign, Tulip Street. It felt like the corner of nowhere and no place. Not only did Pratt end there, so did Tulip. David coasted down Tulip. There were no houses, no sidewalks. Loose stones washed like roadside surf into weed fields. Sparrows flirted with the broken windows of an abandoned garage. A rustle in the weeds. Groundhog? Rat? Ahead on the left was another garage. Or was it? A sign was jammed into the bare earth in front of it. Coasting closer, David saw that it was painted in the same fancy lettering as the card in his pocket. Reader and Advisor. He stopped, lowered one foot to the glaring dust. The paint was peeling so bad on the place it looked like a camouflage jacket. A big old shoebox-shaped junker van without wheels sat alongside. Splatters on the flat back end looked like dried egg. David was torn. The foot on the pedal wanted to beat it out of there, The foot on the street wanted to stay, check it out. The place had a front door and one front window. Something hung over the window on the inside. Just as David decided to beat it, the front door opened. A face peeked out. A lady's face, topped by an explosion, a geyser of blonde hair. The lady made a cap bill of her hand to shade her eyes. You have an appointment? What was she talking about? In the heat between them, a dragonfly hovered like a miniature helicopter, then darted off. David grunted. Huh? No need to get mad, the lady called. You're in luck. You don't need an appointment today. The door opened wider. Come on. The flies are getting in. David knew there were a million reasons why he should not go in, but none of them had made the turn onto Tulip Street. He parked his bike by the junker. Does a girl live here? He said. The lady's feet were bare. Every toe had a ring. Yes, yes. Now, hurry, flies. David went in. A smell hit him, flowery, but old and sour. He found himself in the softest room he had ever seen. Floor, walls, ceiling, all were covered with carpets. It reminded him of a tent. There was no furniture. The door closed behind him, shutting out the daylight. He could not see. Sit, her voice. Where? Here. Hands on his shoulders pushed him gently forward, then down. Here. Nothing but rug beneath him. He sat. Who are you? He said. Madame Dufy, she said. Who else? The drape parted. Light. Her silhouette leaving. The drape closed. Dark again. Night in a box. David alone. Scared. He held his hand before his eyes. Could not see it. Since April 29th of last year, he had never been in total darkness. Never allowed himself to be. In his bedroom, low by the baseboard near the dresser, his Jiminy Cricket nightlight glowed and smiled and tipped its top hat every night, all night long, while he slept. He pulled his knees up. He shuddered. Is a coffin like this? Are the walls moving in? He reached out. Humming. Beyond the dark, she was humming. Or someone was. His mother used to hum. Carolyn Sue Limpert. He remembered once. He was on the stairs playing dinosaurs and soldiers. Tyrannosaurus Rex was eating soldiers, privates, sergeants, sometimes two at a time, chewing them up. And below him, in the dining room, his mother was setting the dinner table and humming, folding napkins and placing plates and spoons and forks and humming while Tyrannosaurus Rex ate the whole army, generals and all. Her humming had been the nightlight of his life. Flame flared. Madame Dufy was back with a candle. He could see now that a teddy bear had been sitting across from him the whole time, its button eyes forever astonished. She sat down and placed the candle on the floor between them. Her tornado-whipped hair was the same, but now the rest of her was lost in a robe of flowers, birds, and dragons with flaming tongues. Golden hoops you could pitch a baseball through hung from the earlobes. Before she tucked her feet under, toe rings glowed in the flickering light like 10 tiny halos. Take off your shoe, she said. Was she serious? Which one? She frowned, thinking. Which foot is your favorite? He thought. Right, I guess. Left, she said. He removed his left sneaker. Sock two. Sock two. Okay, lay down and gimme. She flapped her fingers. Gimme. He lay down on his back and gave her his bare left foot. She tugged until the foot was close enough to the flame to feel its heat. Cupping his heel in one hand, she brought the foot up to her face. She ran a finger across his sole. He shrieked, Tickles! Okay, she said. The worst is over. For several minutes, then she studied his foot, tilting it this way and that. She pressed the bottoms of his toes as if they were buttons. She poked his foot here, there. She began to nod. She closed her eyes. She frowned with concentration. I see. See what? He said. I see. Bread pudding. Huh? Bread pudding. I don't like bread pudding. You will. You will sprinkle it with cinnamon and you will love it. He doubted it. Anything else? I see pretty babies, children, grandchildren, a house with a white fence, a rocking chair on the porch. Her concentration softened. She opened her eyes. She looked into his face. Firelight danced in her eyes. She smiled. You, she said, pointing. You, lucky buck. You are going to have a long end. Suddenly all went white. Her face, the astonished bear, the room, as the front door flew open. A black silhouette stood in the blinding light, spoke. He's not a customer. Chapter 11. It was her. David from Minnesota, she said. Come on. He got up and went toward her, squinting against the glare. Shoo. He went back, picked up his sneaker and sock. To the ring-toed lady at the candle, he said, What did you see? Madame Dufy was about to speak, but the girl beat her to it. A long and happy life. Now come on. The girl clapped out the door. She wore skates. He followed. Both sat on the single shallow step. He to re-sneaker his foot, she to remove her skates. "I saw the bike," she said. "I figured it was you." She stood in bare feet, no rings. "Want to see my room?" "Okay." She let him. Was she serious? To the junker? She ran a finger over the petrified egg splats on the back. "I usually scrape them off first thing in the morning. Didn't get around to it today." "Who did it?" said David. "Ha," she laughed. "Who didn't? They get their older brothers and sisters to drive them over." "Why?" She stared at him. "Why what? Why do they do it?" She looked up the street. "Who cares?" She looked at him. "I sure don't." She thrust the skate at the sky and yelled, "I don't care." She reared back, hair ropes flying, and spat, "Phew!" David laughed. He had never seen a girl spit before. She opened the driver's side door. "Welcome to my room." The first thing David noticed was that the steering wheel and seats were gone. He ducked in. She was right. It was a room, or as close to a room as the inside of a van could get. Curtains, dresser, rugs, bed. Well, a bedroll. Even a black and white polka dot beanbag chair. "Watch your head," she said. "What do you think?" "Neat. I'm going to get some posters, put them on the ceiling. I'm definitely going to paint the outside, put a little white fence around it, flower boxes, like this." She opened a house beautiful to a picture of a window with a flower box. "Who's that?" David pointed to the picture on the dresser. "That's my father. His name's Bob." "Is he dead?" "Why do you say that?" David shrugged. "Well, he's not. I just don't know exactly where he is, that's all." David said, "I have a father." "Give that kid a prize." "He works in the state of Connecticut. That's 200 miles away. He's the boss of a big mall. He only comes home on weekends. He's overwhelmed." "That so?" "Yeah," David sat on the beanbag chair. "I'm thirsty." "Good for you." "Don't you have anything to drink in this car?" "It's a room, not a car." "Well, do you?" "You see a refrigerator?" "No." "So what do you want? A beer?" "No. Magno Madness." Her eyes shot open. "Really?" "It's my favorite." She wagged her head. "Amazing." "What's amazing?" "Me and a little kid Runt like the same drink." "I'm not little," he said. He leaned back into the beanbag chair. "Is that your mother in there?" She glared at him. She sniffed. "What makes you think she's my mother?" "I don't know. Did I ever say she was my mother?" "No." "Did I ever call her Mom? Mommy?" "No." She glared another second, then laughed. "Yeah, she's my mother." She gave him a friendly smile. "She's goofy, huh?" David giggled. "Yeah." The smile vanished. "You call my mother goofy?" David froze. "No." She laughed. "Why not? She is goofy." David was going goofy with confusion. He took no more chances. He kept a blank expression on his face and said nothing. "My mother is psychic," she said. "Scratch that. My mother thinks she's psychic." He risked a question. "What's that?" "It means she can, tell the future." "She's a fortune teller?" "Yeah, she thinks." "The sign says reader." When he first saw it, he thought the person inside must be a reader for summer story time, like his grandmother. "That means she reads your palm, tells you what your future will be." "She read my foot. It tickled." She snickered. "Yeah, sometimes she does that too. She says she's exploring new territory." This was all new territory to David, this strange girl and her strange mother. "Are you psychic too?" he asked her. She snorted. "Nah, thank God. It's all bullcrap. I'd never want to be my mother." She was twisting her hair. "She lives in the clouds, in the future. I think all those palms got to her. Not me. I'm living now. Today." She laughs. "Plus," she swatted at the fly with House Beautiful. "Plus what?" She pointed toward the garage-sized house. "There's only one bedroom and one bed in there, and I have to sleep with her, and she snores." She laughed. David took a chance to join in. "So that's why I moved out," she said. David had heard his grandmother snore once or twice, but never his mother. "Are you an only child?" he asked her. "Yeah, you?" "Yeah." "Only way to fly." "What's that mean?" She sat cross-legged on the floor. "I don't know. A saying." They were silent for a while, David floating in the polka dots of the giant black and white beanbag, feeling something good from so long ago. At last he said to her, "Why aren't you dead?" She looked at him. She laughed. Don't look so heartbroken. If it'll make you feel better, I'll kill myself." "You tricked me." She rolled a skate into his foot. "Not really. I knew about the egg hunt. I went in the back way to get a couple of eggs for breakfast. I'm too old now to be in it. Not that I would ever go running down the hill with the rest of those idiots. And then," she rolled the other skate, "I heard everybody coming and I saw the leaves." She grinned. "What?" he said. "That bug. Boy, you don't know how hard it was to keep still with that thing crawling on my face. I flicked it off." "I know." David sat up. You did trick me. You saw my memento. Don't have a hernia. How could I sell it? My eyes were shut. Or see it. My eyes were shut. I was dead, remember? You could have peeked. I didn't. She grinned again. Her grin seemed to say, I know stuff you don't. So, are you going to show it to me now? No. Do you have it on you? Maybe, maybe not. He always had it on him. She grinned. Is it from your mother? No, he shot back. And none of your business anyway. She grinned some more. He was liking her less and less. So, she said, want to know my name? David stared at the ceiling. He shrugged. I don't care. Primrose. He snickered. Right. Really, that's it, Primrose. Ever hear such an ugly name? He did not answer. He would not get suckered into another trick. She got her skates. Come on. Outside she put on the skates and stood, now taller than ever. She took a bill from her pocket, a 20. She waved it before his nose, grinning. Want a mango madness? Where did you get that? Can I see the memento? No. You want to know where I got all this money, don't you? No. She cloppered across the dirt to the street. I knew you did, but to find out, you have to come with me tonight. Late tonight. She looked back at him. Are you allowed, little boy? I can do anything I want, he said. When my father isn't home, he thought. I'm not little. Good, she said. She pushed off. Let's go get some mango madness. He pushed off over the gravelly surface of Tulip Street. His bike tires were quieter than her skate wheels. Along the way, he sometimes thought to call her Primrose, but he did not fear that it was a trick. He hoped it wasn't a trick, because he thought it was the second most beautiful name he had ever heard.